Hi everyone, welcome to Sacred Timings with Swati. I'm Swati Kameswar, and in this video I will talk about Mercury retrograde in the sign of Virgo that is coming up, and how we can utilize the retrograde energies to uplevel our perception and access our higher mind, which can then lead us to our higher expression. So let's get started. So here are some key dates to keep in heart and mind. And this month leading up to the equinox in September is a powerful portal, and it's best to be mindful of the choices that you make as the energy is very much amplified going into the equinox. So take a look at your practices and be sure to amplify self care and be mindful of how you are using your life force energy to move through these next few weeks. And some of the key dates are highlighted. Mercury retrogrades from August 23rd to September 15th, although we have already been in that energy for a while, and it will go on um, even beyond when Mercury turns direct on September 15 all through September. And then we have the Virgo new moon on September 14th, and then Mercury turns direct on 15th of September. So we can see that there is a focus on the sign of Virgo. Now, every Mercury retrograde has a unique energy, and this one is in the sign of Virgo, and it also has Venus retrograde. Jupiter and Uranus will go retrograde soon. So there's a lot of retrograde energy in the mix, and this amplifies the need to slow down and to examine our choices and our decisions and actions. Also, for Venus retrograde, you can watch my video for more information on that transit. Right now, Venus is has emerged as a morning star, so you see Venus uh, before sunrise in the eastern part of the sky, and Venus turns direct on September 3rd. So we still have a little bit of that Venus RX energy in the mix. Now, during this Mercury retrograde period, we also have the Pisces full moon and the Virgo new moon in that window. And we are just coming out of a very powerful new moon in Leo with Uranus squaring Venus conjunct the sun, conjunct the moon, while Venus was in the underworld. So there is a lot of intensity to the energy and an amplification of this retrograde energy. And if you have planets in Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius, and Gemini, particularly at these degrees where Mercury is retrograding, then that directly activates new energy in your chart. And it's really useful to be mindful of where you are heading towards. So let's talk about Mercury RX. Now, retrogrades bring up unresolved karmic patterns for resolution. So, these are patterns which are not aligned with genuine self love and sovereignty. And since we are still in the Venus retrograde period for a few more weeks, this time of Mercury RX may bring up to your awareness repeated looping patterns, particularly around communication in relationships. You may notice that communication is taking more effort to get your message across. Uh, Maybe there are a couple of tries. You're trying a couple of times before your message is fully heard, or if there are misunderstandings in relationships due to communication. So this is one area where you want to really be slow and mindful of how you're communicating, the words that you're using, the energy behind the communication, and how is it being perceived by the opposite person. Now, Mercury represents the mental realm. So, that is your perception of how you take in the world, how you take in life. And this includes our senses as well as our heart. And in fact, our ability to perceive through the heart is being amplified. This whole shift is about amplifying our ability to bring our heart into the mix and perceive more and more from a purer place through the heart. Then Mercury also represents cognition, how you think and process things, and your expression, what you say, what you speak, and how you express in different ways. Now, during retrograde times, the shadow can be heightened. That means, and particularly now because we have so many planets retrograde, um, the distorted expression of Mercury and Virgo can come up very clearly. And this can include anxiety and nervousness, lack of focus. It's very easy to be distracted these days. There can be overstimulation, because there's just so much happening in the world. There's just so much change happening. And in your personal life also, you may be juggling many different things. So we may need to slow down and note if that need to slow down frustrates you. And we may feel a lot of energetic changes that can lead us to feeling ungrounded. And our mind and nervous system is getting very stimulated. So pay attention to whether all of these factors are showing up in your life, because we want to be able to handle these as gracefully as possible and move ahead consciously. Now, let's talk about the Virgo energy and the essence of Virgo. That is the highest qualities of Virgo. Now, these are qualities that we want to cultivate and expand. Um, so some of the essence qualities of Virgo are its ability to see patterns. Now, one of Virgo's biggest strengths, this is one of Virgo's biggest strengths, and it has very sharp mental abilities that allows Virgo to see, to spot what is out of sync. Now, this comes from deep, intimate connection with Gaia. So that is another essence quality of Virgo: respect for the earth and her cycles, being tuned into the cycles of nature and also into the cycles of the physical world, which includes your body. So there is this deep connection to the physical realm, the body, how energy flows, and how the physical world is impacted. So, of all the signs, Virgo is the one that is incredibly effective at handling the details of life and of any project, because all of that, um, handling the details of life, is very much about this physical realm, right? Like taking care of all the tiny details. And because of this deep connection with the physical realm, that gives Virgo this kind of this superpower, an amazing ability to take care of details, and it can multitask like no one else. Now, these are the positive qualities of Virgo that we want to bring out more of. And during Mercury retrograde, the shadow of Virgo can heighten, that can diminish the essence of Virgo. So let's talk about how the shadow shows up. Now, the shadow, these are the undesired qualities that get magnified when Mercury is flowing in retrograde motion. So it's good to watch out for these and have practices on hand to self correct, like really being able to be aware of when these shadow aspects show up and having a strategy to minimize the effect of it. So, one of the shadow aspects is the fixation with patterns. Now, this Virgo's strength, this ability to spot patterns, can easily go to one extreme when it gets obsessed with patterns. And this can show up as obsession with perfection, with things being in a certain order, that you just can't rest without something being in a specific order. And if it is in a different order, then it just kind of irks you. It can also show up as nitpicking, judgment about how things are, and the inner critic can be particularly strong due to the judgment of how you show up and fixation with a certain perception of how things should be. The other shadow is this Virgo's ability to handle the details can go to one extreme and it can get stuck in the details. So it's difficult to come up and see the big picture because you're just so busy handling the details. And you can get stuck in the doing, tackling your to do list, and forgetting to bring body and heart into the mind. And because of this, the ability to feel freedom is diminished because of all these structures, like the obsession with the patterns, the getting stuck in the doing. So want to watch out for that as well. Now, the third shadow is the overemphasis on the mind and intellect, particularly as this is Mercury that we're talking about. So there can be just very much of a um, focus on the mind at the expense of the heart and body. And for this, reintegrating your connection with Gaia and with the heart is really important during this time to balance that out. Now, lack of focus and anxiety can also increase due to the need to go slow. And if things are taking longer than expected, or if there is overstimulation, then it can be very easy to lose focus. So, watch out for these things showing up in your life. Now, let's talk about the gift of this transit: access to your higher mind. Now, retrograde times are great for resolving old patterns for good and for moving on to the new. Now, for Mercury retrograde, A key intention of this transit is to change our perception, to activate a higher perception and our access to our higher mind, to allow us to see things from a different lens, to view our life from a more expanded lens and see behind the scenes. So, this means moving away from the lower mind, and that can be like habitual responses and limited frameworks. The lower mind is easily swayed and it judges and is distracted by stimulus, and we want to transform this into the higher mind. Now, the higher mind, on the other hand, sees a bigger picture. And because it sees a bigger picture, it has more access to neutrality because it can see multiple sides to any situation and it can perceive the highest outcomes for all. So, the higher mind is also fully integrated. It's not just about the left brain, the analytical brain, which is what very much what Virgo is about, but it's integrated with the right brain. It has access to whole picture thinking and functioning in collaboration with the heart. And that heart piece is really important because remember that the way to the higher mind is through the heart. Activating our perception, our heart perception, and amplifying that is really important. Now, when you do that, new possibilities are revealed. And that's why we need to slow down to see what's underneath the surface so that we can move ahead with an expanded perspective. And then the choices that we make from that expanded awareness will be very different from what we make with our lower level mind. Now, when you activate your higher mind, your perception changes, and then this activates a new expression within you because you want to express in a new way from that place of your higher self. So, let's talk about your higher expression here now. And note, ask yourself, how is your expression changing? And I've listed here some questions that can serve as journaling prompts and asking yourself, um, what is your default mental and emotional state? What new skills and interests are awakening within you? And what is visible now that was not visible before? And also ask yourself, how is your default mental and emotional state either supporting or hindering your higher expression, your new expression? Now, the shadow of Virgo can get in the way of expressing in a new way. Um, it can get in the way of your new expression coming through because if you're stuck in the doing and you're not able to give yourself time to explore new things, the busyness of if the busyness of life and all of your to-do lists may leave little energy or little time to explore new avenues. The inner critic can also limit exploration of the new because it's constantly expecting perfection before you have even started. And before you've given yourself a chance to try out something new, you may be expecting yourself to be a master at it. And this can prevent you from developing new skills because it takes time and commitment and practice and patience to develop new skills. So ask yourself if this is showing up in your life. Is the inner critic very loud? Or is it subtle and is it sabotaging your conscious intent? Then we talk about the balance of the left brain and the right brain, as well as the heart. So, asking yourself, how balanced is your ability to engage in left brain and right brain activities while also bringing the heart into everything that you do? Do you feel like you're marching through life, crossing things off a to do list, getting things done, but without any inspiration for what you do? That can indicate an emphasis on left brain on the left brain. Or do you feel like you're floating along with no structure? Do you feel like you have freedom but there is no structure? And that can show an emphasis on the right brain. And finally, asking yourself, where is your heart in all of this? Do you tune into your heart before you begin anything and realign with the heart multiple times a day? So here are some practices for working with Mercury retrograde. And the first one is to hold the intention of for highest outcomes. And this is something, this is generally a wonderful way to work with any transit. This is that is to hold the intention for the highest essence of the transit to come through for you and to be able to receive its highest gift. So even if what you're experiencing right now is challenging and it's less than the highest, holding an intention, holding the vision for experiencing the highest gift of the transit will reveal to you the ways that you can do exactly that. And this is one way we become intentional when we go through transits, not just taking for granted how something will show up. For example, Mercury retrograde gets a very bad rap for all kinds of communication issues and so on, and maybe technology issues, whatever it is. But you want to hold for yourself the highest outcome of that, that you are able to receive the best out of that transit. Because remember that it's not just the earth that is moving through this shift in consciousness, it's the entire solar system and galaxy and beyond. And so we want to get away from preconceived notions of how transits have played out in the past and really start to call out, really get in touch with that creator energy within us and call out the highest outcome for these times. The second practice is to have a practice to re-establish a connection with Gaia on a regular basis. And this is key because the heart of the Virgo archetype is her deep, intimate connection with the earth and the rhythm of the earth and how that energy impacts our physical world. The mental ability of Virgo without access to the earth energy is very dry. It's like a hollow shell. So it's the intimate connection to Gaia that animates the Virgo archetype. So some practices can be to connect to the earth, to sit on the earth on a regular basis, like, connecting with a tree or being in nature, taking a walk, often very, and being very conscious of connecting to nature around you while you're taking a walk, taking breaks often in nature and fresh air if you find that you're getting stuck in a rut. Um, the third practice is to have a strategy to calm your nervous system when it gets stimulated. So, grounding exercises in nature are beautiful for this sort of thing. And then paying attention to your body and energy and amplifying awareness when your body needs to come back into balance, either through tapping, journaling, breath work, movement of any kind that delights you, like yoga, running, qigong, whatever it is that works for you. But finding the strategies to lean on when the overstimulation gets heavy. The next strategy is to balance the heart with the whole brain and bringing the heart into everything you do. Particularly if you find yourself getting overstimulated, if the mind is overactive, then here is one practice that I recommend where you pause and you take a deep breath and you drop into your heart. And you can even do this right now along with me. Just pause, take a deep breath, and drop into your heart. Let everything from the mind collapse into your heart. And just focus on your breathing and visualize your heart, a light coming out from your heart, in and out as you breathe. And do this multiple times during the day to transfer all the focus from just the mind and to bring the heart into the picture. Check in with your heart's intention and desires rather than falling into autopilot responses to life. And then finally, the final practice, which is really possible during this Mercury retrograde time, is to allow yourself to change your perception in playful ways. So, Mercury retrograde gives us access to a different way of thinking and perceiving and expressing. And we really want to take advantage of this energy to be able to change our perception so that new possibilities get revealed to us. And see my Amuse workshop on the next slide, which is designed for exactly this purpose. All right, let's talk about Amuse. This is a new intentional creativity workshop that I'm offering on September 1st. And here we transform the voice of the inner critic into the voice of your muse. Now, this is a really fun, playful workshop to rewire the neural pathways in the brain, to soften the inner critic, and to strengthen your muse. And then this inspiring voice of your muse spills over into all your life, into your relationships, into your career, everything. This allows you to explore new interests and explore new things, learn new skills, and expand into a new expression. So through this workshop, you'll have access to big picture thinking, and a way to get out of the minutia, because Virgo can be so much about handling all the details that it can be hard to access the big picture. But with this practice, with what you learn in this workshop, you will learn very easy, simple and easy techniques to get out of that and to access that big picture thinking. You will also get access to a strong, loving, encouraging voice within you, that's your muse, that guides you in the unknown. And you will learn ways to access this voice by choice and at will transform the critic into the muse, transform judgment into wise discernment. And can you imagine what your life would be like? What would be possible for you if you consistently had this loving voice of discernment and truth rather than disapproval and judgment running in the background? What new things would you allow yourself to try out? And how would your relationships change as a result of this voice of the muse? So, if this resonates with you, you can find out all the details at this link given here, activateyourtruthandpower.com/amused. All right, that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you, and I'm wishing you ease and joy as you walk through retrograde season. Bye.